Welcome to today's webinar focusing on how to automate user provisioning from banner to Active Directory. If you face any audio issues, please dial in using the number provided on the GoToWebinar screen. We will begin in approximately 5 minutes.
Great. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing your responses on that quick poll. Now, before we move forward, we also would like to know what are the pain points with your current provisioning systems. We are going to pause for 60 seconds so that you can type in your answers in the question pane on the right-hand side of your screen.
Russell, we do have quite a few responses. Folks, we have a response from Louis. We have quite a few other responses. Anyone would like to comment on your current pain points, the problem you're looking at solving when it comes to user and entity provisioning, deprovisioning? We'll wait for a few more seconds. Idea is that if we get to know your pain points, I'm going to look at crafting the session and certainly look at covering those use cases as well. Thank you, Louis, for providing the response. All right, folks, we'll get going. Russell, we have three responses. One is everyone is saying they would want to get rid of their custom scripts. Louis is saying that their script typically takes 24 hours for account to get provision. And I think, Louis, if I hear you correct, you're looking at automating the process so that it's next to or absolute real time instead of waiting for 24 hours for provisioning to commence.
That's correct.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Henkei. And thank you so much, everybody, for sharing your responses. We will discuss them in detail during the product demonstration. Now, on behalf of the entire QuickLaunch team, I would like to thank approximately 47 institutions, including Winston-Salem State University, the University of Tennessee, Humber College, Northeastern University, Lewis University, and several other institutions who are dialed in today for the presentation. Setting the agenda of today's session, QuickLaunch would like to showcase a robust, intuitive cloud service for automating access control and identity lifecycle management, aiming at quickest deployment time at lowest cost possible. Our key presenter for today's session is Neeraj Kant, CEO of QuickLaunch. A brief overview about QuickLaunch. QuickLaunch ideated the product concept in 2013, and in the year 2014, we successfully released single sign-on and a multi-protocol translator called IDP or Identity Provider. Then came mobility in the picture along with password management that uses multi-factor authentication. Early 2018, QuickLaunch unleashed the automated user provisioning along with onboarding 15 institutions from the higher education, namely LaSalle University, Hawaii Pacific University, St. Mary's University, Community College of Philadelphia, and many more as early adopters. The idea was to break the old model of user provisioning and create a new method which is painless, fast, predictable, scalable, and yet cost-effective. Being in higher education for all these years, we have identified few basic yet very important challenges users face on day-to-day basis, like multiple username and passwords, multiple login screens, user onboarding, and many more. The solution QuickLaunch has to offer to overcome these pain areas are a flip a switch integration, intuitive configuration and administration, managed cloud service, To discuss this in detail, I would now like to pass on the platform over to Neeraj to kickstart the provisioning discussion.
Thank you, Russell. Good afternoon, everyone. And I would like to welcome you all on behalf of QuickLaunch. Interesting times at QuickLaunch. Last year, during our conference, a lot of institutions came to us and they started asking us that, can QuickLaunch stand on its own 2 feet, and instead of just behaving as an identity provider, can we really do provisioning, deprovisioning? I see today Louis is on the call. He's been on many conferences with QuickLaunch. He's our existing member, and we've got quite a few other new members who have joined in today. And this drive came to us specifically from Banner Institution because some of them were using Banner back in those days, LMG, LMB. There was BEIS, which got renamed to EIS, and then that journey continued. As of today, they have Ethos. I do see Lewis University on the call. They're using Ethos. So this journey is not ending, resulting in institutions now migrating towards solutions like Okta. Again, I take the example of Lewis University. Looks like they're also implementing Okta, interestingly, for password resets. So, and again, identity is a pretty big realm. And we, as QuickLaunch, we've been serving institutions for over 7 years now. Our envisioning was that, can we step in and do provisioning, deprovisioning really well? Russell mentioned flip a switch. That's the theme, which is, can we go codeless? Because most of you, I see the poll results as well, you're using custom scripts. They're difficult to maintain. Auditors can come in and have issues tomorrow because of the processes involved in those custom scripts. And obviously, you don't have budgets right now to implement SailPoint, which starts at $1 million, or Fisher International, which takes 9 months minimum to implement. So today we're going to talk about how can we get you to QuickLaunch and literally do a flip a switch and get you live in less than a week and solve the problem which we're seeing in higher education. So let's go through some problem before we talk about solutioning those problems. So journey starts as an applicant. I'm applicant. I would like to go to Lewis University. I'm going to fill the form. One fine day, I'll be from a prospect, I'll become an applicant. I'll apply, I'll pay my fee, and as the process commences, I'll basically become a student. So journey of a prospect, becoming an applicant, becoming a student. Where's that information going? That's all going in your student information system. Most of the schools today are Banner schools, so it's going into your Banner. But folks who are PeopleSoft colleague, we have solutions for you as well. When that happens, here comes provisioning, which either is currently happening using your custom scripts. Most of you stated you're using custom scripts. Some of you might be doing it manually, which I don't anticipate. And some of you might be spending lots and lots of dollars on maintaining, managing technologies like Forefront Identity Manager, Microsoft Identity Manager, so on and so forth. So that's the area of concern we're going to look at solving today. But with that, you obviously push that account in Active Directory using your scripts or again using your tools. What happened next, which we are very familiar with, you all send a welcome letter saying, hey, NK, welcome to Lewis University. Here is your user ID, and could be that here is your password. You might be sending them the password. We have seen that happening. Or you might be giving them the magic recipe of what that password needs to be. Both of these cases are not good. We should not do that. And we're going to look at today how our provisioning engine is also going to solve that problem. Last but not the least, once that problem is solved, how can we get that account to your learning management system, to your email system, to your library system and miscellaneous systems. This discussion is not just about Banner to Active Directory. Each one of you are spending time pushing course information from Banner to your learning management system. Can we also provide that to you, get you a one-stop environment to deal with? Last but not the least, we believe that we owe you a forgot password and help you resetting the password with all the bells and whistles, which comes with a true multi-factor system. And what I'm trying to position ourselves as is how can QuickLaunch truly behave as one stop so that you don't have to implement, number one, ethos, number two, CAS, number three, technologies like Okta, OneLogin, and number four, specifically, how can we get you off your custom scripts? That's the envisioning and journey that we're going to demonstrate to you all today as part of our product demonstration. So let's get going. We'll show you all hands-on. I'm not going to, from here on in, use slide deck, so I'm just going to get that off. And I'm going to use real systems, show you some real data, show you provisioning in action. And we're going to look at spending 20 minutes on that. Then we'll get into the Q&A. So I'm playing my screen again. You should see a PHP admin consider this is your Banner system or PeopleSoft or colleague. This should look really familiar to you all. Here comes Active Directory. And this should also look familiar to you. This is your current login screens, whatever solutions you're using, but QuickLaunch is also going to help you replace those. So if I go to quickly, Lewis, if they don't mind, they're using Blackboard. They also have My Lewis, which is actually using Ethos identity for single sign-on, and I'm sure they've then separately spent a fair bit of dollars implementing Okta for password reset. So here comes their Okta. And I strongly feel it's a little disconnected in regards with user experience. So I'm going to look at also helping today on how can we provide first-in-class user experience to our clients who are students, obviously in higher education. So let's look at coming up with a story. I'm going to use Lewis as an example. He's on the call from one of our institutions. I'm going to create a record for him today. And let's see how that provisioning happens. So I just pause my screen. I'm going to take Lewis, user ID, and look at pushing that into my Banner system. So here comes Lewis. I'm giving him a unique identifier. Story is pretty simple. I'm creating a student. And I want you to see how fast provisioning is going to kick in. So, and I've given Lewis my personal email, my phone number, just so that I can show you all the bells and whistles. And here comes the record for Lewis. So Lewis is created. Here is Lewis, and I've basically made him student so that I can explain you the concept as well. What should have happened by now that account should have moved to Active Directory. Here you go. And Lewis, I apologize, I did not put the last name, and I do want to create that as a problem and then solve it. So here is Lewis in Active Directory. I have first name, I've used the same last name. It created automatically full name. And provisioning, folks, is all about what is going to be the user ID. In Banner terminology, it is the GOP-TPAC external user, LDAP user. You guys know those terms really well. So what is the magic behind creating a SAM account name or a user principal name for the user? I got my personal email, my mobile from Banner to Active Directory, home run. Point that I want you to take a note of is I did not give a password to Lewis. So let's see what could have happened if Lewis is going passwordless, right? So let's look at how is QuickLaunch really uplifting your user experience. Can we do custom attributes from Banner to Active Directory? 100%. Can your users have different rules for generating user IDs for student, staff, and faculty? Absolutely. Can we do group membership? Here you go. Lewis is student. Can users have multiple hats for the groups? Yes. All of that is possible, and you're going to love the administrative module when we reach that stage. Watch what happened. You guys currently use your admissions department. They send welcome letters. None of that is needed. It says, Dear Lewis, congratulations, your account is active with, let's say, Lewis University. Your login ID is Lewis. I'm going to copy that. Click here for registration. And folks, that click here is your first interaction as a student with, let's say, Lewis University. This page is going to be branded for you by you. All the logos, color combination is going to come, but this is where you start. You don't have to go to a login page, figure out registration. I'll give you a link over an email to you as a student. So let's get going. I'm saying, okay, I'm Lewis. I just copied that user ID. System says, hey, I know you, Lewis, either from your email or SMS. Which one would you want to use? And I'm saying, let's rock and roll with SMS. So I just clicked on SMS, and truly, this is not provisioning, right? Now I'm using some cool multi-factor authentication, which comes built in. Here comes one-time token on my cell phone. I just put my phone on ringer so that you all can hear the phone ringing. And I just provided one-time token. Now, this is significant, guys. Using provisioning, we sent this user a welcome letter. User used multi-factor, which means you don't need tools like Duo to provide you multi-factor. We have that built in, and now system is challenging me that, hey, Lewis, rock and roll, set up a password for yourself. So I can now create my own password, which means you don't have to give a default password. You don't have to worry about security. You don't have to make them change password when they log in for the first time. Rather, you're making it secure yet simple. And finally, I am being given the opportunity to see the login page of, let's say, Lewis University, for which you don't need ethos. It would also come in out of the box with QuickLaunch. And what I'm going to do is let's log in to Lewis University as user Lewis. And as soon as I log in, you would see all the single sign-ons. They're going to appear on the screen. So pretty much not just provisioning, how can we also give you all of the applications which you as a student should be seeing, starting from banner to register for classes, to your learning management system, you're using Gmail versus Office 365. All these applications are not only getting provisioned, they would also be then visible depending upon who this user Lewis is. I hope that helps understand my journey as a student. I'm going to log out, and let's continue provisioning discussion. What I want to do next is, let's imagine it's been 3-4 years, Lewis has graduated and is continuing with Lewis University as faculty. So let's figure out where user Lewis is. Lewis is right here. Click on edit and change the role, because that's one of the things that you guys do and would want to see what happens when there is a role change. So I just made Lewis staff. He's no longer student. Go. And Lewis, who's actually on the call today to answer your question on real time, watch the screen. I'm just going to refresh you. Here comes Lewis. Here comes member of. Here comes staff. So it is technically not even taking a second. It's real time, and it's pushing that change not just into Active Directory, but let's see where all. So I'm going to go back to my example, log back in as Lewis, and watch what happens. So I'm deviating a little bit intentionally from the topic of provisioning, but folks, look what just happened. I tried logging in, system detected a risk on Lewis. Let's figure out why. And as soon as it detected, it is now challenging me to prove I'm truly Lewis. So great thing, you don't have to buy another tool. It's built in with provisioning at no additional dollar. And if you use QuickLaunch for your single sign-on as well, instead of using ethos, you don't have to, firstly, maintain, manage ethos. Secondly, all your applications would use QuickLaunch. Thirdly, will empower you with a true adaptive authentication. So at this point in time, system wakes up and says, I don't trust you, Louis, prove this is you. Why? Because this device is not even added as a trusted device. So pretty good. I'm going to put that code back in. And obviously, I can then opt in to remember this device, or I might not want to opt in for that. And look at the user experience. It is totally different because as staff, some of the applications are deprovisioned. Some of the application got provisioned. So depending upon what business process you have, each one of you are going to be different. We can cater to your business processes and do provisioning, deprovisioning, using truly flip a switch concept, which I'm going to show you from an administration console as well. Let's log out. Let's complete the story. I picked up Lewis University today as an example, and I mentioned they have a forgot password separate. Let's look at our forgot password. It gives you the same look and feel, which makes your user experience better, and it then prompts me to enter username, and here comes same factors yet again. So now I have the same factors, which means if I'm being challenged, I'm using same factor. When I opt in to recall my username because I forgot my username, same factors. When I'm trying to reset my password, same factors. So it becomes a blessing because another problem which we want each one of you to solve for yourself with our help is number of calls going to your help desk. They would obviously increase if you have 7 different platforms running and they're not connected, resulting in users having separate set of questions for, let's say, resetting their passwords, and then Duo has separate measures to enable true multi-factor authentication. So folks, that's a quick high level in regards with what a QuickLaunch has to offer you, how seamlessly it gels in together with all of the bits and pieces, starting from single sign-on to password reset to multi-factor to adaptive. Most importantly, the governance on user provisioning, deprovisioning. And one of the things that I want to talk about is we are not limited to email and SMS. If you like security questions, we can get them done for you. If you like Touch ID, hard tokens like YubiKey, Google Authenticator, we can get that done for you. So we can add as many factors as you want. And most importantly, you could also implement different factors for different constituent in your campus. So use case could be folks who are having keys to the kingdom. We really care about them going through a bare minimum 2 factors. That's the right way to think. But if we make our doors too tight, too complicated for students, at the end of the day, they'll be lost in translation. They're going to call you. They'll request for a password reset, and that's not something which we want them doing. So again, a lot of emphasis there. I'm going to quickly segue looking at the time into reports. There's lots and lots of reports which comes with QuickLaunch. We care about you knowing from where the users are coming in. And if you don't like, can we blacklist, let's say, Colombia, Brazil, whatever city, country? Idea is that I want you to have your eyes on the platform and envision that there could be a potential account takeover coming from a country, city, state, and you might want to have geo enabled for your institution. What applications are being used the most? What browsers and devices are being used the most? Who's accessing from those applications? How can we give you those reports? Is something which comes out of the box with QuickLaunch. Let's take it to the next level. We talked about single sign-on. I'm going to go into password reset and show you the reports there, and then we'll talk about obviously provisioning, deprovisioning, admin console as well. So here comes password manager reports. And what you're going to see is, again, lots of insights in regards with who has changed their password successfully, who has failed to change, why have they failed to change. And what you would see is it will also give you metrics of, is SMS working really well or not? Because that should have 100% reliability provided we have phone numbers. So that also gives your help desk the ability to monitor and maintain which factors are really working for institution like you all, and you might have different answers to it. There's no one successful mantra towards what is the best factor. At times, it's we have to figure that out as we implement, because your relay might choke. You might have international students, and you might need support to have multiple SMS countries supported, which we have obviously figured that out for you as well. So again, there could be there could be different requirements for each one of you as well. Some of you might want to use truly hard tokens for your administrators to help protect what they do as part of their job roles as well. So you might want to implement hard tokens and things of that nature. Let's continue. We'll show you now how did I provision users when it comes to QuickLaunch from Banner to Active Directory. I'm just going to log into Admin Console. I've just paused my screen for a few seconds, and I'll show you how that's going to work out. So folks, the journey is going to start on the same administrative console by giving you a list of all the connectors which you might want to use or which you have configured already. So for example, it's going to be a one-time setup for you to configure Active Directory. And this green, which you saw me having in there, was telling you that AD is up and running. Otherwise, this would go red, which is great because you do care about knowing, is my destination dead? Yeah, because of which your users are not even getting created. So that's a great way to understand. But let's look at the magic which I was talking about. So here comes, let's say, Banner to AD. I truly call this platform as integration platform as a service. And I use this term, flip a switch or go codeless. So what it says is, okay, you're Lewis University, give me a connection name. You could simply say Lewis Banner to AD or Test Banner to Test AD. And then you could say, cool, I'm going to move. So this is where we've done things really different compared to your custom scripts. What is the username, which is your SAM account name, which could be coming in from GOP-TPAC external user? Where should I map it? Here's my AD schema. Great. So I can just simply also create a new attribute on the fly. How do I generate email addresses? Is it username at? Do I need to use first character of username, then last name? Should I put a magic number if the same attribute or user ID exists? So platform is really flexible is what I'm trying to tell you in regards with mapping these objects on the fly and defining which one are required, which one are unique, and you can obviously add a new one with just one click. So pretty easy. And you could also define if is it as is, or are you going to do a custom transformation and all that. Most importantly, as soon as you go to groups, which is one of the pain points I've seen across all the implementations we've done so far, where should students be going? Where is staff going to go? What if you have thousands of groups on the left, which is coming from Banner? What if you have a scenario wherein somebody is a student or a staff, or student and staff both? What happens if I can handle multi-affiliations? So if you're a student and staff and you tell me create a new group called as to staff, it's a new name I just came up with. Can we support that? Absolutely, yes. We can do all that as well. We can continue to move using attribute updates real time. A lady gets married, surname gets updated. Can we handle that? Yes. What happens if the object in Banner is set to be disabled? It's not active. Should I disable network access? Should I remove that account from AD in 30 days? Should I move them into OU disable? Should I move them into OU alumni? You would each have different answers to my statement that I just made, and we'll work with each one of you to understand what should we do based on the requirements that you have. An idea is to not go across all the universities and give you a customized solution. We believe in giving you a configurable solution so that we can achieve this purpose and yet bring the power of each one of you by giving you all the configurations so that we can reuse those configurations instead of having to live in a bubble of giving QuickLaunch a lot of money on professional services. We really want to move away from that. Whatever we do, it's going to be added to the platform. And it's that simple that we're not talking about spending 1,000 man hours on implementing this particular solution for you. Here comes the email template, easy to govern, easy to configure. If there is a student account getting created, updated, modified, all the changes can be handled, and that email notification can be sent as well. For certain situation, would you want to write back to Banner? There could be various situations. You might want to use Microsoft Object GUID, which gets generated in AD, and you want to write that back in Banner. You might be one of the schools who's not creating user ID in Banner. You might want AD to pick that up and then write that back under GovTPAC external user. Can we do that? Absolutely, yes. We can do whole 9 yards. Is it real time? Am I going to do 30 minutes, hourly? We don't recommend any of that. We recommend real time. And you saw me making the changes real time. So folks, that's a quick overview, I would say 30,000 feet overview in regards with how we're doing provisioning, deprovisioning. We're really proud. We've taken it to the next level. We've taken schools live in less than even 3 weeks by implementing everything on test and staging and then rolling the changes into production. So the platform is really intuitive. And most importantly, what I want to tell you with the presentation is, if you take provisioning, everything else is pre-included. Should you get rid of ethos today? Not needed. Eventually, you can do that. Or if you may decide, let's do that as step one, we could do that as well. But it's going to give you, you'll be able to divest from the investments you've made in password resets. If you're thinking about spending 10 grand with Duo Security, it's built in. You don't have to do that. And all the custom work, all the resources you're currently doing custom scripts, all that time and effort can be saved. And most importantly, this is going to complement your help desk really, really well and reduce the volumes which comes to your help desk. So that's basically, folks, what we wanted to cover on the call today. I'm going to hand it over back to Russell and see if there are any questions at this point in time from anyone who has joined this webinar. Russell, back over to you. Let's open it up for Q&A, please.
Thank you so much, Neeraj. Definitely. We will be pausing for 2 minutes and opening the lines for any questions that any of you have. So you can type in your question in the question pane on the right-hand side of your screen.
Russell, I do see one interesting question from Robert talking about the pricing. Folks, give me 30 seconds. I'm going to just bring the pricing. We're pretty transparent, folks, here. And you can simply take a print screen on the pricing and quote us on the numbers. So I'm just going to pull that in 30 seconds. And Robert, that should answer your question on the pricing. So almost there. And I'm going to show you what this thing is going to cost you as well. I think it's pretty important for you all. So here comes pricing. And what you would see is every component has a separate number, but we don't sell it that way. Here comes provisioning, deprovisioning at 14 per user. And what we've learned is, and again, like Oktas and one logins of the world are almost double or 3x of these, we know that. But what we have done is we've bundled them together. You've got two packages, which we like you rolling with. One is Lite, which is SSO IDP Password Manager Adaptive. But today we're talking about Premium. So our list price is $25 per user per year. We can certainly see what discounts are available. And I think on today's call, we are providing around 30-35% discount on this number. In case if you look at signing with us before 15th of April. And again, that's not a showstopper. We provide you proof of concept to make sure that things are going to work for you instead of just asking you to sign a contract with us. Robert, I hope that answers your questions. Around $25 with the discounts, which we have already factored in, which is around 30%. So $25, 30% discount, you get 70% is what you pay. And there's no separate professional services. There's no separate support. Everything is inclusive. And if some of you have done any provisioning projects, trust me on that. Companies like Microsoft would come and tell you that firstly, we don't do PS, you need to take a consultant, and that consultant would tell you, okay, we need 1,000 man hours to implement provisioning, deprovisioning, and that's going to obviously be like 1,000 times 175 at a minimum. We don't want to give you any single dollar on professional services. Robert, I hope that answers your question. Any other questions, Russell, that we
Ye-
have?
Yes, Neeraj, we do have a couple of questions here. Johanna has a question that says, sometimes a pattern for an email can be duplicated if we have the same name. Can it handle making sure email is unique?
Hannah, we will work with you to understand what are the unique identifiers. Firstly, UPN specifically should never be duplicated. We're going to use your banner PIDMs, connect them with object GUID to basically connect Henna with Henna in both the sources and the destinations. And the duplicacy would be checked at the quick launch level itself so that in case if there's nk at louisu.edu, there can never be another nk at louisu.edu. So system would handle all of the requirements and you would tell us the rules so that in case if there's another nk, should I put NK1? Should I put NKA, which is the last two characters of the last name? The engine is really flexible. We'll be able to do whatever is required to be done with. And I hope that answers your question. Any other
Neer-
questions, Russell?
Neeraj, yes. There is another question that says, can we handle multi-groups?
We can certainly handle multi-groups, students, staff, faculty, alums, employees, part-time student who's staff. What should they see? We call it primary affiliation. You could also tell us, okay, cool, if I'm a student and a staff, my primary affiliation is staff and my secondary affiliation is student. We can absolutely handle that and move that user into multiple organizational unit, specifically the groups within Active Directory, so that we can then cater the role requirements accordingly as well. So we can certainly do that, yes.
Great. Another question, and Neeraj, do we need admissions department to still send the welcome letters?
Yes, we do need them to give us the templates only. So no, we don't need them. Just have them give the templates to you, put that in the engine. You can even give them the access so that during next year onboarding, they would like to change the welcome letters, they could do that. But no longer that dependency of, hey, admissions, wake up, these 500 emails needs to go out. Here, we give you the eyes, have those mail reached out, has people or students really logged in? Because another piece which we provide you is when you're onboarding 500 users, let's say during your back to school, we'll give you the method which will tell you how many have successfully onboarded themselves versus who are in danger, because you don't want to have them not register. So you will also have the login method to identify who's onboarded, who's not onboarded. So all those reports would be available with QuickLaunch provisioning, deprovisioning.
Thank you so much, NK. Another question we have is, do we have hard token support with multi-factor authentication?
We do. That's also built in. You could opt in for YubiKey. We could provide you YubiKey, which gives you Touch ID. That's a great factor because again, we're all marching from passwords, security questions to now implement multi-factor. And I believe like this industry is a little late in the game. And if we all see what RSA conference had to offer, Google did a massive webinar talking about even multi-factors are being compromised, which we know that's not new. So can we really use a hard token for folks who have keys to the kingdom? Because rightly mentioned, if your banner admin account gets compromised tomorrow, I mean, we could be in risk, and we don't want that to happen. And I would not name one of the university, even all the social security numbers were leaked out because their main admin account was compromised. So yes, that's a right fitment at a less price because YubiKeys are inexpensive, and you don't have to push that to everyone. So you could really use role-based factors well and implement YubiKeys only for those who have keys to the kingdom, and rest keep student with the options of any of the factors which they would want to use for resetting their password or whenever they're challenged for in case of risk or adaptive authentication.
Thank you, Neeraj. Neeraj, we have three more questions. Napoleon has a question that says, in relation to Johanna's question, in the transition to a new ERP/SIS, we have users who have login IDs different from their email IDs. Will QuickLaunch require these users to change to a single unified ID?
So that's the beauty of QuickLaunch, which is we don't want you to have changes unless you tell us, because that's a business change. Can you afford that for the betterment of your university? If yes, we would love to change it and make it one. But let's say for some reasons you don't want to do it, that's a change, and you might want to do it in phased manner, which is, let me put it this way: you want to onboard new users with new logic, and you want existing to continue like that. That'll be a home run. Can we support that? Yes. That way existing continues to be existing, and all the newbies, they use the new method. We can easily detect who's the newbie and give them the email that they should now have using the new nomenclature. So we can absolutely do that. And again, all of these discussions are subjective to us doing scoping really well. Provisioning, deep provisioning is all about knowing what you want, what you have, and what are the areas of improvement. And if we don't get to know that from you, it can never be successful, irrespective of whatever technology we use. So I think having you all open up in next few meetings, do a one-on-one with us, telling us the use cases would help us understand. And with our experience with implementing almost 475 banner institutions, we'll be able to guide you what are the recommended best practices which we should follow in order to proceed forward. Two more questions, Russell, correct?
Yes. Neeraj's next one is from Patrick from Red Deer College. Patrick is asking, how do you deal with prospective students versus real students?
Great question, Patrick. We were only doing once applicant becomes a student. Interestingly, 5 universities came in last few months asking for, let's take it to the next level, not even prospective students, but also parents. Can I create an identity on the system for parents? So yes, we have those solutions now available. I'm not sure, Patrick, if you don't mind sharing, how are you currently doing prospect? Do you have a tool? Are you using like a Lucian Recruit or any module? QuickLaunch also have folks a prospect student onboarding module. We call it Admit. So that's there. If that rings a bell, you want to see how we are doing admissions, and then finally pushing that account into your banner system, and then getting that in Active Directory. We have that solution available from one of our technology partners called Unified. They provide Admit, so we can certainly set you up. It is 1/10 of any admissions module. It's live with Oklahoma Wesleyan State Universities and many more. So if that rings a bell, Patrick, I would love to connect with you, show you Admit in action. That way we can get that prospect to admissions to student journey all sorted truly as one platform.
Thank you, NK. The last question we have is from Alan from ABAC. Alan is asking, what are the next steps to move forward with this?
So folks, anybody who has those questions on what the next steps are, we will be sending you a thank you email after this. All we would need from you is a request for a one-on-one session, and that should take no more than 45 to 60 minutes, and that'll help us give you actual pricing for your institution, which is not going to be $25 per user per year and 30% discounted. It would not be more than that. It's going to be under that, because we might have a situation wherein you don't want to do it for all the users and your numbers rather might even come down. So let us know, request for a one-on-one. I will get on a call with you guys. My team would get on a call with you all. We'll understand the situation and we'll show you the full portfolio, followed by scoping, followed by getting you onboarded on QuickLaunch platform. So as an action item, we'll send you an email. We would appreciate if you could request for one-on-one to take things forward from there. And those who have joined in today, if you sign up before 15th, as promised, we'll give you a 30% discount on the product licensing cost altogether. Russell, any other questions?
Yes, NK, we have another question from Johanna. How large is your company? How many users do you have? Where are you located? How long have you been in business?
Johanna, we started in 2013 with the idea to only provide support in the realm of higher education. So we're only doing higher education, number one. We are located, we have 3 head offices. One is in Chicago. We're in downtown Chicago. That's where I'm located right now. My most of customer success team is in Chicago. Then we've got our base in India as well. That's our development center, that's the setup. When it comes to users, we have around 475 plus odd institutions. Our biggest one is Virginia Community College System, 23 colleges using QuickLaunch, 350,000 users comes and hit us pretty much throughout their engagement. So it's a pretty massive user base. We do have some small institutions, community colleges, 4-year, public, private. We have pretty much all the universities. Some big brands like University of Texas, Austin, they're our proud members as well. So there's a lot happening in this arena. We do have one of our members currently dialed in. They're also pretty big when it comes to user. Lewis is on the call. So that's how it is. And again, if it rings a bell, you would like to see things in action for you, by you, we can certainly do a proof of concept. That way you can see things in action for your campus before you think about making a call. And we can certainly also provide you virtual introductions with other institutions. That way you can hear from them how their experiences have been with QuickLaunch.
Great. Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
NK, we do not have any more questions on there. We'll just gonna wait for a couple of seconds if anybody has any question. So let's just wait for another 30 seconds.
Yeah. Folks, we have 6 more minutes. If you don't mind giving your feedback, you could use the questions pane. How was this session? Was this value for your time? If you don't mind sharing your feedback, we would appreciate that. Accordingly, we can further upgrade our next sessions as well. So don't mind, please provide your feedback. We'll wait for another minute and then we'll look at wrapping up this meeting.
There's another question from Napoleon. So for prospective students, we would have to replace our existing CRM if we were with QuickLaunch.
Yes and no. If you want to continue and you're happy, which is not the feedback that we've received with quite a few deployments, then yes, you could and reduce your cost to almost 1/5. That's my commitment. And if not, we can certainly integrate with your existing prospect solution and take that account, move it to either your SIS first, and then move it to Active Directory, depending upon the journey of prospect to applicant to student. So either which ways, we're pretty flexible. We can work with it, or if needed, if you think we can reduce your expenses, we can certainly provide you an admit module as well.
Thank you so much, Neeraj, for answering that question. I think we can conclude today's session. I do not see any more questions coming in. As next steps, we would be recapping today's meeting and sending you the recording along with the presentation for your review. Do let us know if in case you have any further questions, we'll be more than happy to answer them. And we'll be more than happy to get on a one-on-one session and discuss this project in scope for your particular institution. Once again, on behalf of the entire QuickLaunch team, I would like to thank everybody for taking our time to dial in today and giving us an opportunity to talk about user provisioning and deprovisioning. And thank you so much, NK, as well, for taking our time to walk us through with this. All of you have a wonderful day ahead. This is QuickLaunch team signing off. Thank you.